Taco Bell is an exclusively North American food chain. So is a burrito exotic or is it just like a Mexican original?
All right, guys, time for another episode of
Spreading
Man
Manspreaders. Wait, what? I think I said Manspreaders twice. Let's do it again. I'm gonna be the baritone. You do the tenor.
Okay, time for another episode of Mansplaining Manspreaders.
That was horrible. I thought of it.
Derek, you are a fan of food, right? You like to eat food.
I like to eat food, like a rhino, like a bull rhino's head. Not like in a graphic way, but like in a delicious, like Mexican way.
Would you say that would be like an exotic dish?
I think it'd be intoxicating.
Exoticating. So that's a great lead-in for this article I saw while scrolling through Twitter, one of my favorite activities ever. Opinion piece by the Washington Post. It got, what's the word?
Slammed?
Ratioed.
Oh yeah, ratioed.
Which is the equivalent of getting slammed. It got ratioed hard.
Hard.
All right, time to research this.
Oh wow.
Meanwhile, Derek will show you his cool hand trick while I quickly get this.
What is that? Is it where I, wait.
By Washington Post, it's called Stop Calling Food Exotic.
That's funny, because we were just talking about exotic.
Exactly.
Is that on purpose?
It was.
Oh man. Surrounded by a retard.
G. Daniela Galarza, staff writer for the food section in Washington Post. One of the nicest things about Afghan restaurants is that they appeal to even the most timid of diners. Mark and Gail Barnett wrote in the May 16, 1993 edition of the Post, "Your visiting aunt from Spokane, Washington can enjoy the adventure of an exotic cuisine with the reassurance of familiar-looking food." End quote. Now we
It's
go
so
to now we go to
specific,
the
I don't know what they're talking
Now we go
about.
to the journalist talking, saying the Barnetts meant no harm, no foul when they put the word exotic in their review of the Bethesda's Sunrise Kebab. But their presumptive Anglo-centric perspective on a cuisine based in South Asia says more about how they saw the world than about the cuisine itself, to say nothing of the assumption that one's aunt from Spokane may be an incurious recluse.
I don't even know what the heck we're talking about.
After I wrote about a 7-minute, 7-ingredient ramen in early March, I received the first of several emails from readers complaining or gently chiding me for including exotic spices or condiments in my Eat Voraciously newsletter. Quote, "Your offerings tend to be exotic foreign cuisine that we couldn't even order in a restaurant and certainly aren't interested in cooking at home," one reader wrote. Another complained about the exotic ingredients in some recipes and asked if I could please try to pick some recipes featuring ingredients that are readily available. And then she says,
I don't even like
so basically what's happening is she made ramen or whatever and used spices that are hard to come by, and people kept calling them exotic spices and would rather want to find something that's more readily available.
What's the problem?
Well, this is the problem. She said, reading the word hit me like a slap, and initially I wasn't even sure why. Did they think the dish sounded odd or disgusting? Or were these ingredients simply hard for them to find? Probably that second one.
Honestly, you're probably a retard, actually. This word, what is that word? Pulls up the little like diamond inspecting thing that you see the diamond inspector do with. Exotic, never heard of a word like that. Eyes open, wait a second. That's racist.
I had a few productive exchanges with these readers on the subject so I could better troubleshoot their issues. My conclusion? What's exotic?
Let me guess. Was the issue the exact thing they said, which was that it was hard to find these ingredients that you got from Korea?
Exotic to you isn't exotic to my neighbor might not be exotic to my mom, probably wouldn't be exotic to my best friend.
It probably would be exotic because you can't find it at your stupid Walmart.
Okay, here. The problem with the word is that probably within the past 2 decades, it has lost its essential meaning. The second, more crucial problem is that its use, particularly as applied to food, indirectly lengthens the metaphysical distance between one group of humans and another, and in doing so, reinforces xenophobia and racism.
Oh, of course. Oh, I should have seen it coming. Xenophobic. Oh, of course. Oh, it was so clear. It's like, ramen noodles with rat tails that have been enshrined in holy water. Oh no, that's not exotic. You're just racist. It's like, come on. When we gotta start being like the E word. Oh yeah. You should try the sushi. I have these E word ingredients in them though. Find a rare plant in another country. That's an E word. Start bleeping the word exotic from here on out because it's a swear.
Okay.
It's xenophobic.
I have never heard the word exotic used in reference to something that is white, said Chandra D.L. Waring,
What are you
professor
talking
of
about?
sociology at
That's
University.
what albinos are exotic.
Wait,
It doesn't get any whiter.
Wait for the University of Massachusetts Lowell.
Die.
You know that exotic means other or different from a dominant white perspective because no one ever says, I'm going on an exotic vacation. I'm going to Lowell, Massachusetts. No one ever says, let's go to that exotic new restaurant. Let's go to McDonald's.
Because McDonald's isn't exotic. There's millions, well, maybe not millions, but there's tons of McDonald's.
I can't imagine anyone calling a Big Mac an exotic sandwich, even if when it was first introduced to countries outside North America,
It may
have been imbued with skepticism.
It was probably considered exotic when it first came out. If you live in India and you get this burger with 3 buns, you're gonna probably be like, that's sort of exotic. But you speak a different language, so of course you're not gonna say exotic.
That's true.
This is too stupid for my brain.
Like ethnic and alien, the word exotic was invented to describe something foreign. It comes from the Greek prefix exo, or outside. It used to mean something alien or foreign. And though this is an archaic definition, it's part
Archaic.
of archaic. Thank you.
You're welcome, Bronson.
It's part of the word's legacy. According to Merriam-Webster, in reference to food, its modern day usage may describe something introduced from another country, not native, or something strikingly, excitingly, or mysteriously different. The problem is that it's a definition that changes based on the user's perspective.
The problem here, it's the same problem they always have, which is like, you can't act like different cultures aren't different, but if you act like they're different, you're a racist. And if you act like we're all equal, you're a racist. So no matter what you do, you're wrong if you're white and you're not a liberal. I like how I don't like it, but it's funny how the problem is that it's supposed to be used for describing things that are different, yet people use it to describe things that are different.
Yeah.
That's a problem, Caleb.
Yeah.
You can't find some like rare species of tarantula and call it exotic because to somebody, that's a normal thing. If you see a rhino running around in the Midwest, you may want to say, well, that's pretty exotic to find a rhino running around in the Midwest, but it's not if you live in Africa.
Yeah.
There it's normal.
Well, like this picture.
Thus you're a racist, yes. This picture.
This is a very exotic picture.
Caleb, are you referring to the fact that these are black people? What are you,
No,
xenophobic?
I'm referring to the fact that it's from a
racist?
different,
Well, you would think that from your different white perspective. But you think you're different from everybody just because you're white.
darn it. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to cut my wrist this
Yeah,
morning.
do I need to slap your white balls into shape?
Today, only a few things are still consistently described as exotic, including animals, places, cars, women, and of course, food. This is a food, like, journalist or whatever. Hearing something described as exotic conjures a few specific images. An explorer peeking through a dense jungle with binoculars, peering curiously at the people or flora or fauna in a clearing. Hunters in pursuit of wild game or hide. The facial expression of a television host tasting a certain food for the first time. The exoticism of food wasn't something sociologist and NYU food studies Professor Krishnendu.
That's an exotic name right there.
Krishnendu.
I'm just gonna call him
Ray.
Kennedy.
Kennedy Ray devoted much time to early in his career. Since he wrote his 2016 book, The Ethnic Restaurant Tour, is a topic he has considered more carefully. The word came into use during a time period in world history when the migration and movement of people and things was limited. Ray explained via email in the 1500s.
What even is the point of this anymore? So I think the way they get away with any of this is that it's so complicated and so convoluted that no one could possibly read the whole thing and not just go away completely brain dead. And that's how they get away with it.
Here's the scariest part. I'm only 25% through this.
We're done.
Here, wait, look at this. Is where I am. Okay.
Guys seeing all this? Yeah, let's just jump into a psalm.
Wait, I'm not even at the end.
Let's just jump into a chapter. Why is this so long? Just to
Because
explain
there's
how
the
much
end.
of, just to let people know that you're that much of
Should
an
we
idiot.
just skip to the end?
Let me just
or-
let me just read a random chapter.
Okay, so at this point, we can see there's clearly a problem with exotic. And the fact that this article is so utterly long, I don't know here.
Here, I'll read it. Yeah.
Derek's going to read for once.
Okay. I can't read. An especially visible example is Bizarre Foods, the longtime travel channel. The longtime travel channel show host. Gosh, I hate it when people. I hate short words, short text things. I like it when it's long and I can just read through it. I'm gonna start over because my autism is flexing. An especially visible example is Bizarre Foods, the longtime travel channel show hosted by Andrew Zimmern. In its 13-year run, it exemplified the exotification of foods. Rare meats, dishes consumed as part of traditional rituals, and sometimes age-old cooking methods were all looked upon as abnormal or repulsive, even if the host expressed a sort of revered fascination. So what this thing here is saying is that whether or not you're fascinated with the exotic foods, you're still a damn racist.
A notable exception, the author Diana Kennedy, who periodically in her cookbooks on regional Mexican cuisine calls chilies and other ingredients exotic. Oh my gosh, she's like going over like a history of different people who
some
call
people
things-
might consider a burrito exotic.
despite the fact that they
Taco Bell is an exclusively North American food chain. So is a burrito exotic or is it just like a Mexican original?
Along with her critiques of Mexican and Mexican-American cooks and authors, her work is tinged with an air of settler colonialism.
At this point, you're less racist if you are xenophobic.
Now let's just re-abolate that. Remember at the beginning I said this article got ratioed when it came out.
Horatio found it and he was like, hola.
Okay, let's skip to the end. Let's skip to the last 3 paragraphs.
Yes, please. This thing's ridiculous. You
Change
can spend
in-
like a lifetime studying this thing just to learn that exotic means something that's unusual.
As a scholar, Rivera sees her role in these conversations as an educator. Then the question I ask myself is, how do we make these histories visible so people are more conscious and able to acknowledge their usage of dated terminology?
It's not dated terminology, it's just a word.
So I didn't need to read the rest of it. So it's pretty much going over the history. I see more up here talking about, it's about reframing your worldview. What word to use instead? It's not so much about replacing exotic with another word, though rare or difficult to find might be more accurate descriptions for food in some cases.
Or you can just say exotic because it means the exact same
Okay, sorry,
thing.
I keep like scrolling back up to read stuff, but it's like, it doesn't end.
Oh, big gosh.
I don't think people actually mean it maliciously, Rivera says.
I think people are racist on the inside and they just don't know and it just leaks out.
I think people just don't realize how much power these words have, how much history they carry with them.
Yeah, remember all those slave owners that were whipping their slaves and going, exotic fools? Yeah, everybody remembers that.
Change is constant.
Have you ever called a black man exotic? Like, if you really want to get canceled, maybe you'd be better off calling him an N-word.
Here's the thing. I don't think there's any way, because I've scrolling through this quite a bit. I can't find any real reasoning that exotic is a bad thing to say.
It seems like a really huge definition of the word exotic, and then just throwing in little bits that are like, well, actually, it's also racist, by the way.
This is like the most micromanagey. This is the technical, actual usage of the word and going through everything.
Like, it'd be like somebody being like, oh, let me tell you what a house is. Well, it's a building usually owned by a white patriarchal scumbag, and it's made of wood, and sometimes it usually has like a concrete base, usually owned by somebody who's the descendant of a slave owner and a racist. It's just like throwing in random little bits of like, and by the way, if you ever have used this or anything, you're a racist, by the way. I love me some of that stir fry like rice type stuff, but frankly, if you think it's exotic, you're xenophobic and you should be shot in the head from 4 different angles.
All 4 dimensions, you get shot.
It's like, why do they gotta be so brutal about everything?
Well, here. Change is constant. It's life itself. A quote I come back to often is one from the writer and futurist Alvin Toffler. He quoted, "The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn."
Wow. It makes me think of villains that are like, this hurts me more than it hurts you. And it like clearly doesn't.
All right, and then he says, ultimately, there are just 2 kinds of food. Food you're familiar with and food you're not. If any particular food fits into the latter category for you, rather than expressing disgust or disdain, ask yourself, why am I not familiar with it? And don't I want to change that?
I just have this vision of like a kid not wanting to eat something because it's a little bit weird, and then his mom like reading this whole thing to him. Because now they're like, try it.
That's the end, by the way.
Yeah, okay. So like instead of being like, try it, you might like it, little Jimmy, instead like just reading this whole paragraph to little Jimmy.
There is a correction. It says a previous version of this story incorrectly stated that a durian is native to South Asia. It is native to Southeast Asia.
Of course
this
they made a
version has been
mistake.
corrected.
Of course they made a mistake on where one of the foods that we skipped was from. Probably because the food was so exotic, they didn't know where it was from. But they wouldn't have a word to describe that, would they? They would just have to be like, this food was, like, we just didn't quite, I bet Joe Biden's actually just a corpse with a computer in his mind, and it's been injected with all the liberal, like, word changes and stuff, and that's why he malfunctions so much. It's because there's no way to be correct. It's not because he's demented and old. It's because, he's like, Latang sink.
Well, anyways, that's that. I think the worst part about the article is that it was about food. Besides the stupid stuff.
I don't even know what it was about.
It was about the word exotic.
But specifically when talking about food for some reason.
Hang on, wait a second. I gotta see the face of the woman who wrote this.
This is like one of those people that just wants you to eat cold hot dogs and nothing else. They're like, that's the best way to not be racist. Just eat cold hot dogs. Because they're sort of like, they're in that color range where they're not really white or black. They're sort of like just whatever they are. And also hot dog. Well, I mean, if you cook them, clearly you're becoming more towards racist. So just eat the cold hot dog out of the freezer, like a popsicle. Pops a dog. Just eat a cold hot dog like a popsicle. You know what I'm saying? Just eat a whole like a. Why do these people get paid for this? Why can't I get paid to write? Well, actually, I would not want to get paid for this. I would run out of ideas. I'd be like, that's one paragraph, only 4,800 more to go. Mm-hmm. How dense do you have to be? This many.
Okay. Found the lady face.
Y'all like our draft?
What? Here's the girl who wrote that.
Of course.
She looks almost like AOC.
Yeah, she looks like somebody who's like wants to look like AOC on purpose. Like she doesn't need glasses. She doesn't actually have black hair, but she or dark hair or whatever. She's purposely going out of her way to look like AOC for that familiarity checkbox. Like, all right, will people recognize me without having seen me before? Check. AOC wannabes. At least AOC's original. You know, give AOC that. She's original. Original freak.
She's the official senior editor for food journalism.
Sorry for making you all look at my disgusting feet.
That's all. Goodbye.
Yeah. I can't stand these liberal trash. Punch them in the nipple and they hit the sack.